Let us create a counter app in JavaScript. So we want to create an app that will be counting whenever you click a button in JavaScript. So first of all, I've created an index.html. This is it, index.html, and we are going to call this a counter app. Okay. So the very first thing we will do, we are going to create a heading. Let's say heading 2. We'll give it a number 0. Then you're going to create an ID, and you can give it count. Let the ID name be count. Then I want us to create several buttons. The first button will be the addition button, and we'll also have later we'll create a function called on click. So whenever we click this button, what do we want to happen? So we'll create a function called increase count, whereby whenever a user clicks the plus button, the number 0 will be increased by 1 using that function. So it will call that function and it will increase it by 1. We'll also create another button for subtraction. We'll call the function decrease count. We also create another button. Let's say a reset button. We want to reset to 0. The function will be reset count. We can also create a save. So we want to use local storage to save the number that has been, let's say we are at number 10, then we want to save that number. We can say save count. We'll create a function called save count, and this will be saved. So whenever you save, that function is called, and the last one will be, let's say we want to load whatever has been saved. So let's say we have saved 10, and we reset that function back to 0, that program back to 0. How will we know that the number that we had saved? So that's where the load function comes in. Load. So let's run this program to see how it looks now, and this is how it looks. So let's go back to our project, and we want to link. As you can see up here, I've created another script, a JavaScript file called script.js, and this is what we are going to link it. We want to link this HTML document or this HTML file to our JavaScript file. So this also will be the script.js. So now we are in our JavaScript file. The very first thing we will do is to create a variable called count, and we are going to give it a value of 0. We want that to be our default value. Then we are going to create a function called let's call it update count. So whenever this function is clicked, it's going to update that variable 0, whichever to whether increasing it or decreasing it. So when this function is clicked, we want the document to get the element by ID, and the ID that we gave this heading, we want it to be changing this. We gave it an ID of count. So that's where count come in. So count, we access it using the inHTML property, and it is going to return count. Okay, so that's the first function. So then we start with the first button. We want to increase this. So whenever we click this button, we want to increase 0, probably to 1, 2, and so far and so forth. So we are going to create another function, and we are going to give it, it's a function. Function. We are going to give it a name of this one, increase count. So we'll call it increase count. Then what will happen? So we'll take count, the variable that we called count. Let me show you. We're going to call this variable count, this one. then we are going to do increment. So we increase by 1, and then we'll call the update count function, this one, so that it can display the count. So let's say we have 0. So we take that 0, we increase it by 1, then we call this. So if we increase 0 by 1, it will be obvious 1. Then when we update count, at this point, count is 1. So it will come and display it as 1. As simple as that. So we are going to call this a function update count. We call upon it, and that's it. So let's see whether this function will increase this program whenever we click this. And as you can see, as long as you click on the plus button, we are going to increase the count by 1. Whenever we click the rest, nothing will happen because we haven't created a function to be called. So let's do it for we create another function. This will be decrease count. As you can remember from the decrease button, on click we'll call this function, so it will be count. Whichever the count is, then we are going to decrement, and again we call the update function to display this. So if we go back the function, let's go back to the function. It is, we go to, let's say 5. If we decrease, we'll decrease the number as long as you click it. So the next one will be reset. As you can remember, we have a reset button. So we'll create a function. We'll call it reset count. Okay. So then we will create a count variable inside this function, and we'll give it a value of 0. Then obviously we are going to call the update function. And let us see back at the project. We can give it a value of 10, and when we reset, it will return back to 0. As you can see, it has returned back to 0. Then we are going to create another function, which we are going to call it a save count. So whenever we have an element, let's say 0 or a number 0, we want to save it. And this is it. As you can see, we have that button, and we call to the function save count. So we will create local storage, so that because we want to save it, so we are going to save it into localStorage.setItem, and we are going to give it a count ID, and we are going to save the count variable. So let's say we have point number 10. We're going to save that to count, as you can see there. Then we are going to, of course, call the function update count. So whenever, as you can go back to the project, and I will show it. Just a minute. So let's go back. As you can see, so we can go to a certain number, we increase it up to 5, then whenever we save it. So we'll later create a function called load count that will be returning that 5 that we have saved. And let me show it here. So let's create a function called load count. So this is what we'll be saving, what we have saved in the save count function. So we are going to create a variable. We are going to call it what has been saved. So let saved be equals to localStorage dot. Now we are going to get the item, since we set the item. So we are going to get the count. Okay, what has been set is what we are going to get. And then we are going to create an if statement, whereby we will say if what has been saved from that variable is not equal to null. Okay, if it's not equal to empty or null, then count variable is going to be equal to number saved. We want to convert what has been saved into a number. Alright, into a number. And obviously down there we are going to call on to the update
function. Okay, update function. Now it's going to be not 0 but empty because it's a function. Then let's go back to our program and see whether what we have said is correct. So whenever we click this button, it's going to return what we had saved. And as you can recall, it was 5. We can also do the same, decrease to -3, save, reset, then load, and you're going to get -3. When you load it, it's -3. So that is a simple project, guys. I hope you loved it. If you loved it and you're interested in a project, especially in JavaScript, you can follow this page, subscribe to this channel, and let us see each other in the next video. See you.